was not satisfied with their performance. Though they have done their best, they've tried their best, but their best was not good enough. And 4 days after, the Army Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Chuko Yusuf Buratai, also ordered the general officers commanding and field commanders to relocate to the war theater. What's the implication of all this? But before then, we take just a look at what is happening within the polity, after which we come back to our main discussion. Thanks for watching. We already have seated in the studio our guest who will be fielding questions on these issues. He's a lawyer and security expert. So you discover that both ways is a fit and proper person to discuss the issue. His name is Barrister Tony Ofoyeton. Mr. Ofoyeton, you are welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, viewers at home. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
It's nice having you on the program.
Thank you.
Yes, let us just look at what is happening within the polity before we go to our main discussion, particularly within the APC. In Ondo State, the deputy governor is fighting the battle of his life. He says he has resigned from the APC to PDP, but he does not want to leave government house. What does the law of the land say about that? What does the Nigerian Constitution say? Defection and you still retain your portfolio. And Obaseki, who was elected on the platform of APC, has defected to PDP. There were some ramblings among their members, and see some ramblings, and they went to court, and the court says, the court in Ekpoma said, you can contest. The one in Port Harcourt said no, then later reversed itself and said you cannot contest. But he's still holding on to the position of the governor of the state on the platform of PDP, but he was elected on the platform of APC. Is there a contradiction?
Well, in the Nigerian definition of democracy, the answer is no. There are avalanche of precedents to that effect, individuals moving from one party to the other. The Edo State example you gave, Ezeyamu contested under PDP. Yes. Today he's the flag bearer of APC, subject to confirmation. Then, of course, most likely Obaseki may pick the ticket for PDP. Okay. So there are precedents to that effect in this country. The case of Ondo State deputy governor, it's not also novel. Don't forget that in this part of the world, for now, we don't seem to have clear-cut political ideology. Okay. Rather, what we have is just basically political interest of individuals, group of people, then, of course, ethnic. Those are the 3 distinguished interest political groups we have in the country. We have those that it's an individual political interest. Okay. We have those that are group political interest. Then, of course, we have those that are ethnic political interest. Okay. All they are just interested in just being in power, so that at least you understand, even if you don't know what to do with the power, just be there. Once you are there, a lot of things won't go wrong, you know, that would affect your ethnicity or affect your religion, okay. You know. So to me, those are the 3 clear-cut interests we have. But for political ideology, I've not been able to. The reason is, if you look at some other developed climes, like in the UK or like in the US, you have the Democrats, you have the Republicans, or you have the Labour Party, and you have the Conservative. I'm sure that you will most probably not have a very good precedent in volume of people that will cross from Democrat to become Republican or from Republican to become Democrats. And the reason is because, you know, when you talk about political ideology, it's born out of your temperament. It's born out of your belief, very strong belief. It's like when you talk about religious affiliation. It is very difficult for you, if you're a conservative, to overnight become a Democrat. It's very almost near impossible. Why? Because it's also born out of your temperament. You know, it's also born out of your ideology of what development should all be about, you know, in terms of state governance and the like. But for Nigeria today, you will discover that what we play as politics is in Nigeria today is just like what happened in the football field, where, you know, a player can be playing for Arsenal today. The next season he is playing for Manchester. And the next season he is coming back again, you know, to play against that same club. That's the type of political atmosphere we have in this country.
So we call it football ideology.
Yeah, thank you. In short, that's just a perfect one. It's a football political ideology that we have in this country. So if you look at it from that perspective, to me, for now, you blame nobody. Nobody. President Buhari actually moved also from different parties. No, before he became the president of the country. Atiku was also a good example of such. So it's a matter of, since we have been able to identify that the major thing for our political class for now is not that of ideology but that of interest, then we should not really bother ourselves much. Rather, we should look at how do we now develop a political ideology. Now, because if you ask me that, I would tell you that it's a simple thing. As far as I'm concerned, the era of SDP and NRC would have been a perfect one for a heterogeneous society like Nigeria, where you have just two-party system. When you have two-party system, you will discover that major political players will find themselves either here or there. Then, of course, you know, there will be clear-cut ideology. Like the SDP and NRC, it was obvious. The ideology were very obvious. It's either you are here or you are here. And if you also have a flashback, you will remember that nobody cross-carpeted from one place to the other like we're having now. Because you can't be a conservative or an introvert. And all of a sudden you are finding yourself in the midst of extroverts. And you are comfortable. You won't be comfortable. You know, so if we look at, say, okay, we want to create a political ideology, then we should be looking at most likely a two-party system. Yes, there may be argument to and fro that, oh no, we're in another world, in another society, and all those stuff like that. But I think that our own democracy, our own definition of democracy should be homegrown democracy, not the type you just do copy and paste. And it's very destructive to us. If you do this copy and paste, don't forget that what is obtainable in the Western world, it was developed by the Western world for their own good, for their own good. They have already developed. Now, there are certain instances, even in national development, that you don't need democracy. If you must move at the speed that you need, there are instances, I'm not saying all instances, where you don't, really need to have a very strong decision on it. That's what will make you to move forward. If not so, you begin to see a lot of, so democracy as imported has its own impediment, and those impediments are also to our own disadvantage and to the disadvantage and to the advantage of the architect. You understand what I'm saying? So it is left for the government to now look at which type of democracy do we want to embrace. For me, as far as I'm concerned, I don't have any problem with any of them jumping from one political party to the other. It simply tells the average Nigerian that they are not for you. They are for their own personal interest. So if you want to die for them, that's your business. That's your headache. You will die for them, they will still continue. On the day you die, they will still pump champagne. So that means that you must have some things. You have to cross-check yourself. If you say you are a political supporter, you are supporting Obaseki, you are supporting Ize Yamu, and you carry cutlass and the like and begin to kill yourself. So as far as I'm concerned, you are not just an idiot, but a chronic one. You know, because at the end of the day, Ize Yamu is not a poor man.
No.
Obaseki is not a poor man. And none of them, except God, decide otherwise, will die a poor man.
That's true.
So what is the problem? All they are interested is just this political office. The same thing with the deputy governor of Ondo State. So the deputy governor of Ondo State is looking for how do I become a governor. As far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure that you would also see that if you ask me to assess Akeredolu was a person bigger than his achievement in Ondo State. There is nothing What is helping Obaseki in Edo State today is the fact that people could pinpoint to the fact that he worked. He did excellent. Let me say, in Nigerian standard, he did well to them. But in Ondo State, for goodness sake, what can you pinpoint? After the era of Mimiko, what can you really pinpoint that Akeredolu has done that is so outstanding in Ondo State? No, none. And when he was voted for, they were, because it's an SAN, and the SAN in Lagos State did excellently well. They were expecting that this would be a replica of the SAN in Lagos State. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, he didn't perform excellently well.
And he was one-time president of your association.
Yes, of course, one-time president of the NBA. Thank you. You know, so I think, you know, politics is such that people will now look at an alternative. Okay, if you are interested, come to PDP. Whatever you think they say, as far as I'm concerned, I'm expecting that the deputy governor may pick the PDP ticket in Ondo.
Okay. Well, our guest, a lawyer and security expert, he has spoken as a lawyer. He has put forward the analogy of football ideology in Nigerian politics. And I'm sure you understand that. You are in Arsenal today, you move over to Liverpool or Manchester tomorrow. The next day you come back to Arsenal and to and fro. That is what Nigerian politics entails. Well, I talked about the law. Does it mean that the law has to be reviewed in terms of these conflicts?
There is no law that would actually prevent you from cross-carpeting. Because one thing you must understand is the freedom of association.
Yes.
It's a natural law. No man gives it to you. It's God-given. So nobody can say that you don't have a right to move from one place to the other. I'm not too sure. In short, the law would be dead on arrival. But there could be party constitution that can bring in impediments, especially to new entrants. For example, when Obaseki had his first shot of impediment was when this guy said he was not going to step down, all those stuff like that, and they went to court, they got a restriction, and it was lifted and all those stuff subsequently. Now, if the constitution of PDP, for example, has been that before you can contest certain offices, you must have attained certain number of days, years, or weeks in the party. And if you are coming from another party, you cannot contest any election until you have stayed for X and Z number of time or years. And, you know, no waiver can be given by executive council or anybody whatsoever. Now, it is that waiver that is available that is availing the politician. And that waiver is also a problem. You understand? Now, if you say that, okay, you want to impeach the governor or the deputy governor of Ondo State, on what ground are you going to impeach him? That he moved from one party to the other. Yes, it's true that they came on the joint party, but under normal circumstances, once you assume office, you no longer belong to any party. You belong to the people at that point in time. I know that is not the practice in Nigeria. That's not the practice in Nigeria. That is why you will see a president who put on, you know, the flag of Nigeria and also put on the flag of APC. Which is absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. Once you become the president of a country, you are no longer until another political dispensation. You know, when you have to maybe the time to contest and the like, you are seen as the president of the nation. But when it becomes so costly, look at the advanced countries that we said we even copy. When they assume office, do you see them, except when politics is coming, do you see them brandishing that party per second? But in Nigeria, from the day president resumes office until the day he leaves office, he is seen as the president of the party. And which becomes a minus, because the support he ought to be getting wholesomely from every other person. They look at it, everything he does is even construed from a political perspective. And that's always the problem, because you also gave room for it. Why will you put the national flag of a country in your office and also put the party flag? For goodness sake, some of us are not really very enthusiastic about such.
Sylvester from Eregun, please, what's your take on this issue?
Hello?
Hello. Please, okay.
I have a question to that.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, the question is this. In defining democracy, the emphasis is to the people. The people is mentioned 3 times in defining emphasis. So, as the businesses in the country is such that has everybody down, you are practicing it.
Please, we are not getting you clearly, please. So maybe you can reframe. Okay, come back.
Well, maybe I think he's asking if we are practicing democracy properly in Nigeria.
Okay.
If I got a little from what he's saying, of course, like I said, we are not actually, democracy is supposed to be government of the people, by the people, for the people. Now, in a situation where you have your election highly militarized, it is no longer government of the people, for the people, by the people. Because in a situation where some ethnic group will have to be beaten out of the polling unit, like we had in the last election in Festac and the like, it's no longer the definition of democracy. In a situation where, some part of the country will be asking for voters card and they are not getting it, and some other part of the country not just getting, they are using it to beg them from house to house. That is not the definition of democracy. You see, when the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? What is the foundation of our democracy? Who are those people that are, practicing or supposed to implement the principles of this democracy?
Yes, Helen from Ilukweju, how are you? Helen from Ilukweju, how are you this morning? Hello. Helen?
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
My name is
Your name is...
I just want to contribute to the topic you people are talking, and I really enjoy what the barrister is saying.
Okay.
He's saying it clearly and understanding, and he's saying the facts. I enjoy his comments.
Okay.
Kudos to him.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, she says
No,
she
it's, one thing we must understand in this country is the world is moving. The question is whether we are moving. A lot of things are defectively wrong. And it is because for some of us, we have not really had the visionary leadership that Nigeria deserves. We are better than the type of leadership we are getting. Right. Some would say that a nation gets the leaders it deserves and all those stuff like that. But for some of us, I don't think that Nigerians deserve the type of leadership we are getting. It's just that, unfortunately, the level of literacy, I didn't use education now, is such that it is relatively low because a lot of deception is being pushed into the people. The deception on the, that's placated on the platform of religion, ethnicity, those two major things are big bigotry that is not helping us to move. You see a situation where you want to appoint and you are thinking about your ethnicity before you give appointment in a federal structure like this. It will destroy the fabric of the essence of the nation. And that is what we are seeing. If you are, thank God you are an elderly man, if you ask yourself now as you are seated, I know that as the anchor, you may be playing safe for regulatory purposes, not to take obvious stand. I understand. But deep down in you, do you think that you are happy looking at your years as a youth? Then you compare your country with Korea in the 70s.
Singapore.
Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, and the like. We were all grouped together as third world countries. Today, Singapore is one of the most beautiful nations in the world. Malaysia, we are even proud to bring in Malaysia. Malaysia came to Nigeria and took palm fruit. Today, Malaysia is one of the biggest exporters of palm produce in the world today. For goodness sake, what is our problem? Greed, self-centeredness, religious bigotry, nepotism, all this together. And the question is, do the leaders, are they aware of it? The answer is yes. Do they know the solution? The answer is yes. Are they ready to objectively, truly implement those solutions? The answer is no. And that is why we are here. Not because they don't know what to do. But when they see the truth on ground, to implement it, they bring it on the platform of what is going to be my gain. One, what is going to be the gain of my religion or of my ethnicity. Those two things come to play. And the truth is that those two things are never good friends when it comes to constructive development in any nation, especially when religious gets to the level of fanaticism. You understand? You know, to the extent that you see other people's religion as either secondary or inconsequential. And that's the problem we're having today.
Well, the lawyer has spoken. The law in him has spoken. Now, we go to our main issue for the day. The presidential order to service chiefs of the armed forces that their performance is not good enough. Though they are doing their best is not good enough. And this was re-echoed by the Chief of Army Staff about 4 days after the president gave his directive and made his comment that general officers commanding and field commanders of the army should move to war theaters. What are the implications for this? Now, we go into the issues. It is the constitutional responsibility of governments all over the world, Nigeria inclusive, to provide security for their citizens. Failure to do this leaves a big gap on the leadership of such countries. In Nigeria, it will be begging and overflogging the issue that security of lives of Nigerians and those resident in the country has been worrisome. It is no longer news that terrorists, insurgents, and bandits are having a field day, especially in the northeast and northwest of Nigeria. Nigerians have been speaking and still speaking on the issue. They have expressed their concerns to the president to deal with the situation. Last week, the president spoke to service chiefs at a meeting during which he said that he was not satisfied with their performance on security issues in the country. He said that though they were doing their best was not good enough. About 4 days after, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Yusuf Buratai, gave a marching order to GOCs and field commanders of the Nigerian Army to relocate to operation theaters and handle the insecurity situation. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, and Army Chief Tukur Buratai have spoken, and the questions are: 1. Did the President, during his swearing-in on May 29, 2015, not order service chiefs to relocate to Maiduguri? Where are they operating from currently? 2. What is the implication of the President's statement? Are we expecting some changes or shake-up in the top hierarchy of the Nigerian Armed Forces? 3. If there is going to be any change in the hierarchy of the military, what kind of officers will the President be looking for? These are many questions are what we shall be taking up with our guest, a security expert on U45 this morning. Well, that is the issue on the table this morning. Barrister Tony Foyeton, you have heard me. So let us first of all just look at the security situation before you go into the discussion of the questions I raised?
Well, you know, when you spoke with me on phone, I asked a rhetorical question.
Oh, yes.
And of course, I was not expecting any answer from you anyway. But I asked that question. And I'm also happy that in your narrative, you were able to point out what the president said in 2015 and asked a question, where are they operating from
now.
currently?
Yes.
The president, to me, is just playing to the gallery.
Okay.
It's just playing to the gallery. To me, it's a statement of avoidance. Well, there's been call for, you know, the removal of the service chiefs. And the call, to me, is not because they have not done their best possible. There's what we call diminishing returns. Right. Everybody has its maximum strength. Everybody will have our maximum strength. And when you get to your peak, whether you will remain there or you will come down is a product of your, you know, prowess in terms of understanding stability. Now, to me, the service chief have gotten to their peak. Now, unfortunately, understanding the principle of stability is not the problem. So diminishing return sets in. If you don't understand how to remain stable, you will diminish. Not that they are not intelligent enough. Not that they don't, you know, they have not done their best possible. But what some of us believe is that, look, it is high time that changes are made to bring in fresh ideas, new ideas. The way the military and security agencies work is by command, by order. You cannot fault, query, or challenge the decision of your superior. Even if that decision is defective. In democracy, you can, you know, but in the military, you cannot. So it's a product of, yes, he has his own think tank and the like. They bring idea during suggestion and the like. He takes the final decision. Even if that decision is defective, what will all do? Yes, sir. And that's it. And it's to be implemented by whosoever is asked to implement it. As you are asked to do it, not less, not more. Even if innovatively you are supposed to do more, you stop it at that level. Now these people have gotten to the peak of their professional expertise. Everything they are doing now is more or less a repetition. It's, you know, monotonous. So if you ask me, I will tell you that these terrorists already understand the signature of counterterrorism. They have been able to understand this is what most probably this person will do next. Because over the time you have seen him do it severally in such manner, or similitude of such. So you know the signature already. What you as a president, what are you expected to do, for goodness sake? All you are expected to do is give them a standing ovation and ask them to do what? They are fulfilled in all ramifications of life, professionally speaking. That's the peak of their career. They have gotten there. So why are you retaining them?
Let me just interject now. You know, when we were discussing politics, you said tribalism, religion, and the group of interest actually stand as stumbling blocks to our democratic practice. For the president not to have listened to Nigerians to change this, are you sure none of these factors?
Okay, whether ethnicity and religion is not coming to play. Now, in such situation, a lot of factors come to play, yes, of course. Don't forget that the president has said this severally, that he would, when he was accused of, bringing in people from his ethnic whatever, that he want to work with people he trusts the most. It's everywhere. so it's not a matter of personal opinion and all those stuff like that. And Nigerians were asking, are you telling me there are no people you can trust in the Yoruba, in the Hausa, in the Igbos, in Niger Delta and the like, as much as this one-sided or lopsided? Don't forget that the elders in the Yoruba land had also sued the president.
Yeah, Pandef and the rest
yes,
of them.
yes, they have sued the president. Now, so it's not a matter of one person's opinion now. It's a matter of something that is becoming very obvious. So if you look at it from that perspective, yes, it most likely may be a factor. Why? But there are also other excellently brilliant Hausa, soldiers, Navy officers, Air Force officers that have brand new ideas that you can also bring in. You see, when it gets to the issue of protection of lives and property, some of us de-emphasize certain things. If this person is able to protect the lives and people of the people, without any form of sentiment or bias, for goodness sake, what's my business with whether it's a Yoruba man, Hausa man, or an Igbo man? But for now, like we said, the current service chiefs have done excellently well, but they have gotten to the peak of their performance. There is nothing they can do again other than abracadabra. Repeat the same thing. That's all. Because their subordinates are not going to come all out.
So suggest ideas.
They are not going to come all out. I know the way it works, and they know what we are talking about. If you are sitting down as a junior, if a major is sitting down and a major general is sitting down, if a major general is drinking, the major cannot drink. It cannot. It cannot. So I'm just making you understand the type of profession. No, there's nothing wrong in that. That is the discipline of the profession and the like. So now, but these people, it's becoming a situation where even the whole security apparatus are stagnant as it is now. How many people can be promoted? Because if you don't move, how will others move? So you understand that there are multiple implications to it. And that's why we'll say that the government should really the president should look inward. A government should be able to listen to the people. If majority of the people are saying, move. It's not as if the people that are going to come are going to perform magic. But at least, for that moment, they will do well. They will do well for that moment. We have seen service chiefs change every now and then. We have seen call of service chiefs. Before Buratai came, it was Nigerians that called for his coming. Now he is there, and all the other service chiefs are there. They have done, in short, they have stayed more than 4 years or thereabouts. I mean, I think they should be some of the longest service chiefs in the country.
Yeah, that's true.
For goodness sake.
So, where do we go from here? What kind of people will the president be looking for?
Well, if you ask me, I will tell you that the president should be looking for people that are versatile. People that are, that have this versatility, that are well exposed, people that understand the true art of counter-terrorism, and people that understand how terrorism works outside Nigeria. People that understand to what extent international world can also infiltrate and influence terrorism against your country. And people that understand, how other crimes that are able to suppress or defeat terrorists, how they did it, and they know what to do. People that are able to give a blueprint of 24 months of what they would do within 24 months, batching it stage by stage. And to what extent after that 24 months they will be rated based on their plan, how they are going to counter insurgents. People that are devoid of politics, people that have no political sentiment, people that have no, this strong religious affiliation. I have to be bringing these two things always because, you see, these are factors that inhibit true act of counter-terrorism, especially in the theater of war. If, for example, I'm a Christian, and I'm asked to go and shoot a fellow Christian, and I get there and I see that his name is Abraham Jude, and I bring up the gun, to shoot him becomes a tall order. You understand? When Jude is telling me that we are fighting the cause of Christ, I hope you understand.
I understand.
Except I understand the difference between religious fanaticism and understand the art of, true national security. Then I'll be able to draw a line of demarcation and say, no, you are not actually saying the truth. You understand?
Yes.
So these are people we are looking at to be able to, see people that are objectively truthful with whatever they want to do, and people that know how to bring experts together. 2 good heads are always better than one. Not just 2 heads. 2 good heads are better than one. They know how to, I'm looking for a service chief that will be able to also do a very good image laundering. Be able to, bring up the standard of the average military to the extent that the average Nigerians will learn to trust them, will learn to relate with them better, will learn to even give them sensitive information that will help them in prosecuting the war against terrorism. These are the set of people we are looking for, people that have gone through true security training, other than even the training within the confine of military setting, that have gone to training outside the military setting. So they understand what training in the military and outside the military is all about. And they are able to balance it up. These are the set of people that I personally am looking forward to having as the service chief of this, either Navy, Air Force, or Army, or the Chief of Defense Staff.
Okay. Well, I'm still coming to the issue of ethnicity, because we cannot leave that. When the president, assuming he's going to change the service chiefs, do you see him, speculation this time, because you are not the president, you will just be speaking as if you are his advisor. Do you see him still picking somebody from the Northeast? Buratai is from the Northeast.
No, let's get it right.
Okay.
There is nothing wrong in the president picking anybody from any region. The only thing is that it should be balanced. That's the main thing. If the president will be objective, I expect that it should be north, south, you understand me, and the eastern part and the western part. That's what I expect. Sure. We have 4 major things: the Chief of Defense Staff, Army, Air Force, and Navy. Now, those are the major service chiefs. We have all other, like the Chief of Defense Intelligence, the Commandant General of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, the Inspector General of Police, and the like. They are also at the top echelon of their respective agencies. But talking precisely of these 4 now, if you ask me, for goodness sake, if you divide the country into 4, one from northeast, one from northwest, one from the southwest here, one from the southeast here, there is nothing injurious about it. It doesn't make any difference. My own problem is always when you have, out of 4, 3 is going to a particular region. And 1 is going to, that's it, it's unequal. There's no balance in it. But for me, as far as I'm concerned, it should just, it doesn't make any, they are part of Nigeria, so it's not a matter of whether it's northeast or northwest and the like. The question is, can that person do the job very well and give results?
Okay. Now, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll go further into the discussion. I will invite our viewers to make their own contribution, their intervention. Thanks for watching. It's really...
iReports gets even better with superscreen TV. Stand a chance of winning recharge cards for your efforts. Send videos and accompanying description to this WhatsApp line on 0811 1776 314. Viewers can send footages of newsworthy items, breaking news, and other events and have it feature on superscreen television. Stand a chance of winning recharge cards for your efforts. Send videos and accompanying description to this WhatsApp line on 0811 1776 314. iReports gets even better with superscreen TV.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is U45 on superscreen television. You can also watch us on StarTimes 173, channel 173. Now, back to our guests. But before then, let us also invite you, our viewers, on this program, that you have an opportunity of making your contributions and intervention to the discussion we are currently having on the program. Yes, Buratai also spoke about 4 days after the president spoke. He has given the marching orders to general officers commanding and field commanders. And these are the same people you said they are also tired or whatever, and yet he's asking them to go to the war theater. What can they do?
No, I didn't say they are tired. I didn't say they are tired. Of course, when they are commanded by their superior, they are bound to obey. It's normal when your boss, the commander-in-chief, asks you to, buck up. You are expected to take steps that would give him the impression that you have done something, or you are doing something, or you are capable of doing something. So, to that extent, what Buratai ordered the GOCs and the like to do, theater commanders and the like to do, is there's nothing extraordinary about it. But don't forget that that same week was when Boko Haram gave one of the toughest attack. The terrorists would always want to tell you that they are capable of withstanding your heat. That is one of the psychological operations that I expect that the military should understand. You don't announce to the terrorists, your most probable next line of action, or what you most likely will do next, or what you intend to do next. You don't even tell our adversary the level of your fortification, or what is the strength of the attack that is coming against them. So if you say GOCs move, and the next thing you see is torrential attack from the adversary, it's a psychological demobilization. And that is one thing that I've over the years seen the terrorists do severally. It's also one of the principles which I know very well that the military is aware of. It's adopted by both. So what I expected was basically results. If Buratai is from the northeast and the war theater is in the northeast, the civilian JTF were brought in to assist. Unfortunately, they have also suffered their own level of casualty. But why they will continue to fight the war is simple. And the war will still continue. It's not because I'm a prophet of doom. It's because there are certain things that are obviously conspicuous. Now, a situation where you apprehend people that you accuse of being members of the terrorist group, and you brought the media sensation and hype into it. 300 people arrested, 400 people arrested. 3 months later, when the whole thing is done, you are handing these people back to their governor as repentant terrorists.
Radicalize them.
and that you have de-radicalized them within 3 months. The question is, how many years were they taken to be radicalized? Then how many months do you think you can use to de-radicalize? So now that is one. Secondly, when a situation where you have not been able to successfully prosecute a terrorist in this country, now that is another. A situation where you have people in this country, you know, that are sympathetic to the cause of the terrorists and they are in government. Or people that have been fingered, you know. For example, Senator Dume at the time, if you remember, was fingered to be connected with Boko Haram, you know, and there was there was nothing from the DSS to show that he was investigated and cleared. It was just a press statement that I don't belong to them and the like, and that's all. Now, a situation like that, where you have people that are obviously, covertly, or conspicuously sympathetic, we call them the sleeper cell, to the terrorist cause. Now, Buratai will still keep on fighting this cause. That is another angle to it. Also, the angle of the economic benefit. The economic benefit to the service chiefs, because these are monies that you can't really account for as such. If you throw in 1 billion into security, it's not enough. Truthfully, 1 billion is nothing. But the question is whether that 1 billion will go down to the operative at the war theater of war. Is he going to get that stipend called 3,000, 5,000 naira allowance per day? You understand? Now, if he's not going to get it and he's not well motivated, it becomes an impediment. The war will continue.
It becomes demoralized.
Do you understand? The war will continue. So if all the GOCs, the theater commanders, the chief of army chief or chief of naval staff or chief of air staff, if they have pecuniary benefits, the truth is that it is no longer going to be an exciting thing to say, let the war stop. So accumulation of a lot of factors will not make the war to stop, except the president comes with a stronger political will. You know, gathering the GOs, the service chiefs together and say, hey, you have not done enough. It's an indictment. Do you understand? You have not performed well. The normal thing is if you have a staff that have not done well, from your own assessment, what do? You only don't change a winning team. You don't retain a team that is redundant or a team that is not producing. You don't retain. It's contradictory. You are saying that these people have not performed well, and at the same time you are keeping them there. What do you expect them to do next? I hope you understand.
Yes, this is where my question comes in. What is the implication of that? Don't you see the president throwing a kite, flying a kite as it were, that I'm going to change these people?
No, it's not the first time. It's not the second time. You understand? I'm sure you even remember that the president ordered the IGP to go to Benue. And he said he did not even know that he did not go. So what gives you the impression that he will know what they have done in the service chief circle or what they have not done?
So what's the place of the National Security Advisor?
The place of the National Security Advisor is, as the name goes, an advisor.
And the president is not bound to accept.
Well, of course, you know that is the CNC. So he may accept, he may not accept. The National Security Advisor is supposed to be the central hub that coordinates all security agencies. But the question is whether the National Security Advisor is not as powerful as the Chief of Army Staff in this country, but it's supposed to be more powerful than any other. Any other. But unfortunately, who can he sack? Who can he query? What would happen if he invites the Chief of Army Staff or the Chief of Naval Staff or the Chief of Air Staff and says, I want to have a meeting with you, and the man says, sorry sir, I'm very busy now. I will come at my convenience. What can he do? Yeah?
That's a
So
quagmire.
you see, if you have an office without authority, that office becomes useless. And you have said it, National Security Advisor. It's a strategic office that demands a lot of work. It's supposed to be the most powerful. But in this part of the country, I've not seen it as such. Sure, you remember when Abba Kyari was alive, and Abba Kyari was the person that was, yes, that was even dictating or telling, you know, the service chiefs. Just imagine that a civilian having to relate to the service chiefs, instructing the service chiefs, and the chief of the National Security Advisor, who is supposed to be an embodiment of security by excellence, is sidelined. Thank God he had the audacity and the impetus to speak up, yes. Which, in short, I was proud of him, to have done that, you know, irrespective of who was God. That was excellent of him. But, of course, you would have also seen the defect and the lacuna. Very obvious one. They were able to manage it anyway before the unfortunate demise of...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Samuel.
You see, this issue of service chief, I think they should have been removed for a very long time by now. Because this issue of telling them to go and re-strategize, I don't see anything they want to do again. They put in their best. So now is the time we need fresh brain in the system, you know, because we've had several orders given to them, and there's no result. It's still the same. So what are we talking about? So I just think there are some issues, because when you look at the way we play our politics with everything in Nigeria, probably people that will have taken over from those guys, you know, in terms of order of hierarchy, are people the government feel, they are not from a certain part of the country, or maybe they are not in their good book. Because I see no reason why those guys should still be retained with level of insecurity we see in this country. You know, to travel to the east now, you have to pray. Because when you get to the challenges there, it's not something that is funny. You know, so I think we have to be more careful in our approach to this security. We don't have to play politics with everything, because in Nigeria we play politics with everything, and that is why we are still where we are today. Because nothing will change if we keep doing the same thing. That's my own contribution.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you so much. He has made his comment. But do you see a Nigerian president after Buhari being bold enough to tell the service chiefs, well, Buhari has said it, to take radical actions and say, look, I want you to move. I want to change you. Do you see any president after Buhari doing that?
There's nothing spectacular about a president telling service chiefs to take radical steps. There's nothing spectacular about it. It's just the political will to back up the, that radical move that the military will take. The military have the capacity to destroy Boko Haram within a space of very short time. They will destroy the sect to the extent that all their international supporters will cry out. You understand?
Yes.
But the political will is what we are lacking. Nothing more, nothing. Political will. And that political will is weakened because of religious sentiments. Ejerica was a man that did excellently well. Yes,
Ejerica.
Excellently well when it comes to the fight against insurgents, to the extent that they couldn't breathe. They now have to use propaganda, use religion, use ethnicity. Their sleeper cell in government had to come all out. Even those that are in government today, some of them were shouting that the killing of Boko Haram was unfair, was against their human rights and all those stuff. Some of them in government today. Are they the same people that can prosecute the war against terrorism? No. You understand? So these are things, then you now look at this so-called attack. Who are they attacking? Why are they attacking them? So once those things are resolved, then it's easy. There's nothing spectacular about any president can take that. Even Buhari can take that decision. We are talking of 2023. 2023 is a very long time. No, let's talk. How many people do you think will die before 2023? So we should not be talking about 2023. We should be talking about now. Buhari came to power on the premise that he's a military general.
Sure.
And will be able to do what? Be able to curtail, if possible, eradicate. And they did a juxtaposition with when he was head of state and they fight against the Maitatsini.
Maitatsini, yeah. When he went to
yes, all those were big campaign slogans. You understand, 2011 or thereabouts, to make sure that he comes to power. And he came to power instead of the whole thing subsided. I remember Buhari himself, in one of the interviews he granted, saying that it is cowardly for any government not to be able to dissipate or defeat the so-called stupid, he used one nasty language against Boko Haram then. But what is happening now? Now, if you are incapacitated, let us assume that you didn't get the true facts then as government. Now, let's now assume that peradventure you now became the president and now discover that, it's not as I thought. There are people that are backing up these people. And these people that are backing them up, they are powerful in quotes in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. There are international government and international organizations backing them. What do? Bring them out. Let the people fight against them. It's a simple thing. Let the people fight against them too. While you are fighting on the theater of war, the people will be fighting against them too. You will not discover that it will be very difficult for them to operate. But no situation where you have senators being fingered and being, connected with the sect of Boko Haram, and they are being shielded. Well, how do you think the war will stop? How do you think it will stop? It won't. It is the responsibility of DSS to investigate every human being that has remote or immediate connection with terrorists or the act of terrorism, because that is their primary responsibility. And once there's overwhelming evidence to show that you have been communicating with a terrorist over a period of time, what are they supposed to do? Either prosecute you or do the needful. They know what to do. But are they ready to do it? Are they doing it? In UK, you have about 22 recognized terrorist organizations in the United Kingdom. But none of them cooperate. None of them could breathe. Why? Because there's bumper-to-bumper trailing. Bumper-to-bumper trailing. Your messages are trailed. Your preaching are trailed. Your phone call are trailed. Before you take the next action, why? Because once you are identified with a terrorist organization, the intelligence community will put you on red alert.
Sorry, please. Asia from Bariga.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. I want to contribute on what we are saying about security of Nigeria.
Please go ahead.
Now, what I want to say is this. Both of you sitting down there at the studio there, you are from a village. Is there, in your own village, is there any visitor that will come into that village that you would not know? It is very simple. The government of the day have fun is Boko Haram. From my own village, nobody will come into my village without somebody, even a day-old child, not identified that this person is a visitor. These people continue terrorizing Nigeria in the name of their Malians, their Cameroons, their this, their that. What the hell are we talking about? Before the election, we had in several campaigns that once you come into power, it will take us few minutes, few hours, few days to defeat Boko Haram. But today, the increase of killing innocents are recorded day by day. What are we talking about? What is the government doing? When they are being fingered that this person is connected with, we will not hear the end results. The police are not even doing well. When they start up with somebody being indicted into this deadly whatever, the next thing is that we will not hear the end of it. Now, so that is one. The second part of it there is, these people, where do they get their weapon Where do they get their feeding from? A helicopter will come and supply them. What is our intelligence officers doing? Now the service chiefs are not even doing anything at all. Let them relocate and go to the battlefront. That's what I know to be in military. Let them relocate and go to the battlefront and see what is happening. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, ACN. So they should relocate and go to the battlefront.
Well, not that they don't know what is happening at the battlefront. And I sympathize with ACN. I also sympathize with myself and with Nigerians. Some of the things that are happening are such that if you think of it, you will weep. And you will not have anybody to console you other than to console yourself. Like a caller said, you are traveling on the road and you are afraid of, no longer of armed robbers, but you are afraid of kidnappers, you know, who are not even from that same society. You know, they don't even understand your language. Yes. So even when you plead, they don't even understand what you are saying. You know, but they understand numerics. They understand figures. Millions. You know. So if you look at it from that angle, the worst hit as it is now in terms of such influx is the Southeast. And unfortunately and painfully and shamefully too, their governors are participis criminis. Shamefully too, participis criminis. I've read where some of the people are accusing their governor of selling land to some of these people. You don't know them. You don't know where they come from. Some, they will go and settle in the bush and in the forest and rape your women, rape your mothers, rape your daughters. You know, and at the end of the day, you handle it with kid glove. Until those in the Southeast stand, you know, and make their point very firm, it may be very, very difficult for them to survive. The Southwest, they have an advantage. And the advantage is that the Southwest is able to have, you know, a coordinated paramilitary. Yes. No matter what you will say, OPC and Amotekun is a threat to the unholy migration of the headers. It's a threat. That's just the truth. Which is an advantage to the Southwest. Don't forget that when the issue of Amotekun came on board, who were the people that opposed it? Then the question is, why are you opposing it? They came with some stupid legal argument that it does not have legal backing. But this is not something that is supposed to be a national issue. It's their own state. The question is, do they,
federal state.
Yes, do they have a right to protect themselves in their own state? These are issues we talk about sleeper cell. As far as some of us are concerned, anybody in government that comes out directly or indirectly to defend the act of terrorism is a terrorist. Why will anybody come out to say Amotekun is not legal, Amotekun is not registered, and therefore they cannot operate? Are Fulani headsmen that are killing people, are they legal? Are they registered? Is there any constitution that allows them to move right from Niger, from Chad, from Cameroon, from Senegal, from Mali, to Meduguri, to Yobe, to Adamawa, to down to Enugu? Look at it. Down to Djibouti. I mean, just look at the geographical length of what we're talking about. You have not been able to take radical decision against people that are coming to kill your people. You are now standing vehemently against an organization that is meant to protect your people. My brother, you know they will say that, you know, if your enemy or your neighbor is telling you that your fence is too high and your gate is too strong, then you should know who the thief is. Sure. For goodness sake, why on earth? No, see, these are some of the things that I understand Essence pain. I understand his position. Because at times when some of us do some of this analysis and we ask ourselves, what do I stand to lose if an Amotekun is operating? What do I stand to lose? It's not going to operate in the city. It's operating in the forest. Sure. and it's operating against people that are going to be killing, maiming, or raping their people. You understand? All I need to do is to say, can you kindly work with the police? Can you kindly, liaise with registered security agencies and make your operation known? And it is very easy. They are known. The headsmen you are talking about in the forest, are they known? Do you have a record of them? Some time ago, this thing of immigration, CG of immigration came to say that we have more than 2,000 illegal routes in Nigeria. More than 2,000 illegal routes in Nigeria. Is that not a source of worry? As a government, what have you done? We are busy fighting APC, fighting PDP, Gedam, Victor, this, Oshomole here. How does those things become major issue to us? When you have more than 2,000 illegal routes. In other words, I don't need a visa to enter Nigeria. I don't need a resident permit to stay in Nigeria. I don't need a work permit to work in Nigeria. It doesn't make any difference. I can find my way in and out of Nigeria anytime. I can commit any crime in Nigeria. And don't forget, there was a time there was this international armed robber that was stealing cars taken to taken to Benin Republic. Steal cars in Nigeria, take them to Benin Republic, remove the plate. Nigerians will still go to Benin Republic, buy the same car, back to Nigeria. Look at the porosity of border we are talking about. And we are busy dealing with irrelevant things. Absolutely irrelevant things are the things that the government, will put all effort, all energy on things that are irrelevant, that doesn't help us, our nation, our economy. And that's why we are still here now. And I'm really praying that the government should be magnanimous enough to understand the pain of the people. If they are not enjoying it, if they are not happy about it, they should understand that, look, the people are not happy. Go to the southeast, go to Niger Delta. Recently, the Fulani herdsmen came to one of the villages and did what? Attacked and killed people in Delta State. For goodness sake, why? And incidentally, the people in the south are very accommodating. Very accommodating. My brother, we grew up with Fulani herdsmen. We grew up with them. There's nothing injurious about these people that ordinarily move cow from one place to the other. Nothing injurious about them. Nothing. The best you see in their hand is their club and their cutlass because they work in the... That's all. Nobody kills their cattle. Nobody rustles their cattle. They are not raping anybody. They are going about their normal businesses. Now that you now have infiltrators, as a progressively minded government, what are you supposed to do? Shield them? Protect them? Or fish them out for prosecution? That is the pain of the Nigerians.
Is it not because some of these people, politicians and those in government, also have these heads of cattle?
No. Those people that have heads of cattle, in most cases, they are ranched. President Buhari has cattle. And his cattle moving from one place to the other. They are ranched. See, if you look at the way these people are they are rearing their cattle, you see that deliberately, intentionally, it is meant to provoke people. To provoke. Just imagine, what will a cow be doing at the airport? To board plane? What will a cow be doing at Secretariat in Abuja? The Eagle Square Road in Abuja? Severally. What will a cow be doing in the city of Lagos? Are you there with me? Yeah. So at times, they are just deliberately to provoke the people. Strategically. And that is where the government need to protect the people. But what happened at the end of the day? To my own little observation, I have not seen that protection the way it ought to be. You are driving your car in the middle of a city. You have to wait for cows to pass where there are no grass. And you will see a small boy, a young boy, rearing tens of cattle in the city. And the fear is, don't touch him. Don't touch the cow. Because they are Almighty God. For goodness sake.
Well, you've painted a very solid picture. But let me come back to you again on the issue of sleeper cells and the rest of it. And that the war on insurgency will still be prolonged. Do we put our hands on our heads and say, well, let it be?
No. There are different, let me say, okay, that the ball is in the court of the average Nigerian. Of course, the instrumentality of violence is definitely out of it. But thank God that we're in a democratic era. And in democratic era, you have two major roles to play: to vote and protect your vote. Now, that protection of your vote is even more important than your vote. Because if you look at what happened, those people that are desperate to come to power, and when they get there, they don't know what to do with the power. The only thing they know is how to steal money. That's all. That's their professional expertise. Steal money. Even when they put one paint on the road, you call asphalt. If you put a biro in the middle of the road, it will enter. And the road may just be 9,000 naira, and they will call it 10 billion. And as far as we are concerned, it doesn't make any difference. But the people can make up their mind and say, no, enough is enough, and vote any government that they believe seriously out of power. It happened in Kwara State.
Yeah, sure. Otoge.
You understand? For goodness sake, the voice of the people is the voice of God. If the people decide to say, we don't want, look, good Lord Jonathan wanted to continue. But the force of the people was much more.
That's true.
Obasanjo wanted a third term. Yeah. But the voice of the people was much more. Babangida wanted to stay perpetually. But he had to step down. You understand? Look, when the people are resolved and they are tired of 2,000 or 5,000 naira, somebody will put an envelope and give to you. It's even an insult, no matter how poor you are. Somebody will give you 5,000 naira to get your vote for 4 years. What is your worth per day?
And pardons you.
What is your worth per day? So if the people make up their mind, forget about what people are saying. Vote for the person you know objectively, irrespective of the political party. Because that is one of the problems Nigerians have. Nigerians believe it has to be PDP or APC. And once you still keep having that mentality in a society where there is no political ideology in all the parties, you have problem. Look for the candidate, not the party. Irrespective of, look, if you vote for party D that is not popular, and I vote for party D that is not popular, and S vote for party D that is not popular, are you there with me? At the end of the day, party D will become popular. Yeah. And party D will take over. And because party D knows that it is the people that put me there, he will owe allegiance to the people, not the tribe, not the religion. You understand? So until Nigerians themselves, individually now, I can't say collectively, individually now have a resolution in their mind that, one, I will not collect great gift from politicians. Secondly, I will vote. Thirdly, I will stand by my vote. Nobody will be able to manipulate the vote. We will have a headway. Because at that point in time, you see, even politicians themselves will have to reset their mind, factory setting. They will reset their mind, knowing full well that they can't use the instrumentality of money, you know, propaganda and all those things to woo the people. So it's the people themselves that can change this whole thing.
Okay. Evans from Ilupeju, want to make your contribution?
Government hand is there, because if their hand is not there, our army cannot be slaughtering as if we are in the war front. What is making them to sabotage the security country? How can our army, we are not in the war front, they say they are fighting Boko Haram. When they are going there, they will see the information, they will destroy our army as if we are in the war. and they see how Boko Haram is going about killing people, the government keeps quiet to it. Is this right? How can life of people be so unsure? Why? Why? In a nation like this, let government do something. You know, this one is let's say put tribalism in this thing. Please.
Thank you, Evans. He has made his point that government should do something.
Look, the man is right. If you look at the way that the fight is being prosecuted in this country, you ask yourself if we are truly serious. The war against insurgency is predominantly prosecuted by the military formation, Army, Navy, Air Force. The war against herders, who is prosecuting it? Who is prosecuting it? Yes, we've been able to identify that, okay, the war against Boko Haram, like you put it now, but some of us believe that they are all the same, but different nomenclature because of the strategic approach. You understand? Their signatures are just similar. You know. Then the question is, who is prosecuting the war? During the lockdown, for goodness sake, do you know the number of migration from the north to the south? Even Dangote was fingered and accused his trucks. He came out to yes. He came out to say, no, it's not, we don't know anything about all those. Well, which is possible anyway. You understand what I'm saying now? But look at during lockdown. Then the question is, what has government been able to do now? These people, do they have accommodation? Do they have means of livelihood? Where are they going? Who is going to receive them? Where are they going to stay? If they commit a crime, who will arrest them? Where will you trace them to? Do you have any biodata of any one of them? Who brought them? Why were they brought? Somebody coordinated them. A group of people coordinated them down to this place. For goodness sake, you are talking of a well-organized and a well-orchestrated plan. And the government seems to be, you know, to me, it's not, well.
Well, Mr. Tony Ofoyeto, lawyer and security expert, for the past 45 minutes or thereabout, he's been fielding questions on, well, first of all, went into elements of politics before we came into our main focus for the day. The statement by, or the order by the president to the service chiefs, and the one also by Yusuf Tuku Buratai, Lieutenant, the Army Chief of Staff, to his GOCs and fleet commanders to go to the war theaters. You've heard him. And you, viewers, Samuel, Helen, Sylvester, Asian, Evans, you have all spoken. We thank you so much for being part of the program. And to my guests, I sincerely thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Obliging us. Thank you very much. And thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
Well, that's how it has been on U45 this morning on Superscreen Television. Same time tomorrow, we shall be here to give you another issue, to discuss another issue. Until then, I say thanks for watching. I am Johnson Osula. Bye for now.